Hey guys, welcome in. I hope you all are doing all right. My name is Brianna, and this is going to be your energetic astrological update for the next couple of days. I will be utilizing some of the current astrology within this message, as well as a combination of both tarot and oracle cards, which I have already pulled out here on the table. And I may continue to pull cards as we move through this reading because there are some energies here that I would like to clarify. I want to start out by saying that there is some sort of, I want to call it abundance or a result. There is some sort of like positive result that your higher self, spirit, the universe, God wants you to be aware of. It's like they're shouting this at you. They don't want you to forget as we move through this time, because there are some like challenges and oppositions that, like, there are hurdles that we have to alchemize and overcome as we move through this energy. But while we're doing that, your higher self, your guides, they don't want you to lose sight of something that you've been working on manifesting. They don't want you to forget. These are two of the first cards that came out. The first one was the owl. The owl talks about an inner knowing or an inner awareness of approaching abundance or an approaching result, right? Something that you've been pouring your time, your energy, and attention into is preparing to manifest or like arrive. This owl arrives with a message of approaching results. So I pulled this owl card out first. And this is the card that came out in the last reading first. And I was like, are you sure? Because it kind of seems like these messages are repeating. So I pulled this owl card, and then I pulled another one just to like clarify and confirm. Like, are you sure this is the one? And the card that came out is the nightingale. I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but it's like, the nightingale is like powerful throat chakra energy, and this card came out like, yes, I'm sure. It's like your higher self is like shouting this at you or just reminding you, right? This nightingale energy, in the book it talks about being otherworldly, right? Otherworldly, which leads me to believe that this is a spirit guide. A spirit guide. It also talks about how this communication or whatever this guide, your higher self, is trying to communicate with you, it might get lost or go unnoticed if we're not paying attention. So there may be a need to kind of just like pause and listen for this reminder. Like I said, I feel like your higher self, your spirit team, your guides, they're wanting to remind you of what you've been working on. They want to remind you of something, right? Because as I mentioned, we are moving through, it feels like a bit of turbulence, right? Nothing to worry about because we should be able to navigate it with awareness. But as we move through this period of divine timing, right? This is what's going on in terms of divine timing. Your higher self wants you to hold on to this remembrance or this knowing that something that you've been working on is materializing, right? Don't forget that crucial piece of knowledge, right? Because that knowledge may be like the red thread that carries you or pulls you through whatever this turbulent time is, right? Now, that brings me to some of the astrology, right? We have Mercury and Leo making a square to a retrograde Chiron in Taurus. And I feel like This square is what's producing the tension or the turbulence, right? Whenever we have a square between two energetic bodies, it's like a face-off or a duel between the involved planets, right? So Mercury square Chiron is going to be a face-off or a duel between Mercury and Chiron. Mercury is our highest mind, right? Our highest self. It's like divine wisdom and intelligence. Chiron is going to be our soul's deepest wound. So it's like a face-off between insecurities and our exalted self. So we have Mercury and Leo making a 0-degree square to Chiron and Taurus. I want to start with Chiron and Taurus, and then we'll talk a little bit about Mercury and Leo, right? This is Chiron and Taurus. It's like material worries, material discomfort, material instability, right? Chiron is going to represent our soul's deepest wound, right? It's like this wound, this soft spot, this insecurity. It's like our Achilles heel, right? We carry this wound with us throughout lifetimes, and each lifetime we work on ascending it, right? Healing it and integrating it. So wherever Chiron is, it's going to be bringing up sensitivities around that specific area of our life, right? So Chiron in Taurus, Taurus represents material comfort, like tangible comfort and stability. So Chiron in Taurus is going to be like the opposite of that. Maybe you aren't necessarily experiencing this, maybe you are, but the worry, the thoughts, the emotions around this area of your life are going to be like amplified in terms of sensitivity, right? So that's the shadow aspect of what we are being asked to move through, right? This card says, rebuild the bridge to harmony and move towards harmony. Disruption, lost energy, survival, diminished spirit. So you may be feeling like you don't have the resources, you don't have the energy to move forward. It's just a phase, right? It's just a period of time that we're moving through. And this energy will pass. This square between Mercury and Chiron is actually separating, right? So as this square separates, the tension, it decreases, right? And we begin to like regain our power. We begin to like come out of this energy feeling overshadowed by this energy. So like our clarity returns and our true expression returns, right? Which brings me to the Mercury aspect of this square. So the other half of this square is going to be Mercury in Leo, right? And I'm looking down because I have my notes right here. Mercury in Leo. Mercury in Leo is like powerful truth, powerful expression, the powerful expression of one's truth. I'm saying powerful because of Leo. Leo is a very like courageous, bold, and outwardly expressive energy. And then Mercury, I don't know if I mentioned it, but Mercury is like the well of divine wisdom, right? It's a source of divine intelligence that we can tap into. It's like that higher knowledge, that higher understanding. I like to refer to Mercury as our higher self or our highest mind, right? Wherever you have Mercury in your birth chart, you're probably an expert in this area, right? Because Mercury provides that wisdom, that knowledge, that know-how, right? You know how to do this thing wherever Mercury is in your birth chart. So Mercury, this highest version of self, right? Our higher self, our highest mind, our exalted self. Mercury is the exalted self. Mercury knows that whatever's going on with Chiron and Taurus, maybe it's an illusion, an amplified illusion of lack, instability, insecurity. I feel like that's why we had the owl and the nightingale, right? Your higher self wants you to remember everything that you've been working on. Because this illusion, there's something going on with Neptune. Maybe Venus is making a sextile to Neptune, right? So it's like amplifying the illusion. But I was saying that Mercury knows that everything is as it should be, right? Mercury knows how to navigate this time because Mercury is the King of Swords. The King of Swords. There's something about Neptune sextile Venus. Okay, I'll get back to that. We're here at the King of Swords, right? The King of Swords is mastery of mature thought, right? Mastery of mature thought. The King of Swords has mastered the conflict of the mind, right? He knows. He has like these strong boundaries around what he allows into the realm of his mind and what he cuts out, what he cuts away. And he has like this razor sharp clarity, not because he was born with it, right? The King of Swords he's an ascended master, right? That means he's been through the lower realms, the lower dimensions, and he's learned a lot through experience, right? He's gathered this expertise from experience. So he holds this knowing. He holds this like sense of like grounded clarity. And he knows how to like pull himself out of a spiral. Just because he's the King of Swords, it doesn't mean that he doesn't like spiral or get like sucked into like the depths of the lower mind. But he knows like he's a strategist, right? He knows how to pull himself out of a spiral. So the King of Swords, he's able to make these clear choices and like these razor sharp decisions that produce like optimal results for himself and the people around him, right? The King of Swords, or Mercury, is also the magician. Mercury is also the magician in the tarot. So it's like the King of Swords also talks about insight and action. So it's like he takes his knowing, his insight, and then he's able to create with it. So we have this duel, right? Let me hold the cards up like this. We have this duel, this face-off between material worries and our exalted self, right? Our higher self. This is a square, right? This is square energy. It's like battle, conflict, fight. This is Saturn in Aries, right? So this is like learning, strengthening through these challenges, these lessons. So we have this energy that we're moving through, and I feel like there may be some, going back to this nightingale energy, there may be like some communication, some clarity, some guidance that your higher self wants to send you as you move through this phase. If you can see, like, the nightingale is in like this dark space, right? The dark space is giving this energy here. Maybe you can't see your way forward. Maybe you feel like there is no way forward. Or, like I said, maybe you feel like you don't have the resources to move forward. This nightingale is trying to send you some, it's like light codes. It's information, clarity, wisdom that helps you move through this dark phase, right? So we want to be mindful and just make sure that we're listening. There was a flash of insight that I received yesterday as I was like slipping into this mental spiral. I'll talk about it just like for the sake of transparency, right? I posted on my community board yesterday that Zara's tablet, not her tablet, the iPad that we use for her homeschooling, right? I have a 9-year-old daughter. Her name is Zara, and I homeschool her. The iPad that we use for her homeschooling, the screen shattered. We had planned to do her online classes with my laptop, but yesterday I went to turn the laptop on. It's like maybe 8 years old, and it's reached the point where it can no longer be updated. So it didn't turn on, and I started to kind of like freak out a little bit. I was spiraling or beginning to spiral into this energy, like, oh my God, like, how am I I don't have enough. I don't, like, what am I gonna do, right? And as a spiral goes, right, I was getting like deeper and deeper into this, like, maybe like victim mentality. Like, I've been doing everything you asked me to do, like nothing is working, and yada, yada, yada. Like, this work is not paying me. So like, maybe I should just go do something else, like, right? I was like in the midst of a spiral when suddenly I got quiet enough to like hear this insight. And spirit, my higher self, Mercury, we can call it, Mercury reminded me of a message that I had listened to like maybe a day or so prior. It was a message about the 8-8 portal, but it was like a spin. There was a spin on the perspective, right? A spin that I had never heard before. And my higher self brought me back to that perspective. It has something to do with it's like input, output. There was a word. Hold on, let me think. I've been dreaming about this word all night. All night I was like dreaming about this perspective, and now I can't even think of the word. It's like input, output. Oh my goodness. Basically, the astrologer that was sharing her perspective on the 8-8 portal, she was describing it as the infinity symbol, right? The infinity symbol. It's an 8 turned on its side, and it talks about give and take, input, output. And she had this theory that the 8-8 Lionsgate portal isn't solely about receiving, right? In the last reading, I talked about how the 8-8 Lionsgate portal was helping us grow the seeds that we had already planted, right? It was amplifying the seeds that we had already planted so that they would be ready for harvest, right? I talked about it as like this 2-week time frame of amplification, right? magnification. I'm not sure if that's a word, but something that we had already been working on. We were receiving like this light, this knowledge, this wisdom, this life force energy to help grow this thing. But this astrologer explained it as like receiving, and then like giving. I'm not sure if I'm doing a good job of explaining this, but what I took away from that is that reality, right? Reality gives us the feedback loop. Reality gives us feedback, right? Based on our unique energetic frequencies, we receive this feedback, which is our reality, right? And then that feedback, it passes through, the feedback passes through our vessel, and then we give something back. So what if what we are receiving is this? If what we are receiving is this, right? Material discomfort, or a reality that doesn't match the reality we believe we should be in, because we have our own thoughts and ideas about the life we should be living, right? We receive these visions, these dreams, these hopes, and these aspirations from Mercury, right? From our higher selves. And when reality doesn't match that, right? This is what we get instead. This is what we get from reality. There's a process of like transmutation. I'm holding this card up because the magician esoterically talks about a process of alchemy, right? We receive data, we receive information. We receive information from our higher self. That information has to pass through our heart, right? It has to pass through our vessel. If our vessel is distorted, or if we are riddled with worry, insecurity, self-doubt, then what we manifest is more of this, right? So when we receive this from our reality, what we want to do is like alchemize this. My headphones. Okay, we want to alchemize this and turn it into this, right? This higher wisdom, this inner knowing, these boundaries, mastery of mature thought, right? So we want to alchemize. Going back to that feedback loop, right? We receive one thing, maybe it's not in alignment with what we believe we should be receiving, and if we allow ourselves to spiral, as I was spiraling yesterday without catching ourselves, right? If we allow ourselves to spiral, then what we create is more of this. So going back to that feedback loop, we receive and then we alchemize before we express. I hope I'm doing a good job explaining this. I feel like I'm not. Basically, there's like a process of alchemy, transmutation that occurs when we are co-creating our reality with the universe. We receive one thing, right? And then we alchemize it and we express another thing. This is what clears the feedback loop. This is what heals the feedback loop. I'm seeing the sea serpent. The sea serpent doesn't have anything to do with the feedback loop in terms of what's in the book, but I am seeing it as like this loop, right? We receive and then we give. We receive and then we give. This card talks about moving energy into a healthy current. Moving energy into a healthy current before we allow it to express. That's what the King of Swords does, right? He moves his mental energies into a healthy current so that what he is expressing produces favorable results. Oh my God, it took me so long to get there. Moving his mental energy into a healthy current so that what he manifests produces favorable results. Oh my God. Okay. Where was I? Mercury in Leo square a Chiron retrograde in Taurus. So we have the square between the higher self, this higher intellect, this know-how, right? This logic and the expression or the manifestation of that. So there's a face-off between this exalted version of ourselves and then this wounded version of ourselves. Oh my goodness. I feel like it took me forever to get to that point. Okay, let's move on. There was another point that I wanted to make with, I think it's Venus sextile Neptune. So remember, we have Chiron in Taurus, right? The ruler of Chiron in Taurus is Venus, right? Because Venus is the ruler of Taurus. Venus, when we think about it, she's the Empress in the tarot. The Empress talks about giving birth, right? Empress energy is like the gateway that all life has to pass through before it's made material, right? So she talks about like just being like open and receptive and trusting that her dreams, her wishes, her desires will be made manifest, right? So this energy, this receptive, calm, trusting, knowing energy, right? She's also an energy of abundance in all of its forms, right? So love, beauty, pleasure, fulfillment, satisfaction, like those like sensible pleasures, like good food, like nice things to look at, a healthy and comfortable environment, right? So we have this Venus energy communicating with Neptune. Neptune in its lower octaves, which is bringing me back to this energy here. Neptune in its lower octaves can be experienced as illusion, confusion, and delusion. I'm getting like the Seven of Cups energy. So there may be a lot of illusion around like this Venusian energy. Your ability to trust and know that what you've been working on is producing results, right? Your ability to be comfortable, be content in a situation that may not feel so comfortable in the moment, right? This Neptunian energy may be like amping up, getting like dark illusions around Venus, right? And because Venus is the ruler of Taurus, then Chiron is feeling that. Chiron is feeling this illusion as if it is like real, right? But as I mentioned, you guys, this is just a point in time, right? It's not permanent. It's a point in time where like planets and points are like aspecting each other, creating this tension, but it will pass. It will pass. What we're being asked to do is Mercury, right? King of Swords. Maintain this knowing, but it's like a sense of sovereign boundaries around your mind. The King of Swords, he's not one to like play around, and he's very serious, right? So maybe we have to get very serious in this energy in terms of what we allow and what we reject, right? Okay. So there are some other cards that I pulled out here on the table. These are the cards that I want to get clarification on because I'm not really understanding. We have the law of gender. The law of gender talks about although the divine masculine and the divine feminine are opposite, both are equally essential for creation. So it's like masculine energy and feminine energy are both equally essential for creation. This could be like our own internal masculine and feminine energies, right? So, okay, so I'm going back to that Venusian energy. Remember how I said Venus, she is open and receptive. This is a very feminine energy. She sits and she attracts, right? So this could be related to like attraction and magnetism, trusting and knowing that what is meant for you will reach you. So that's the feminine aspect, and I'm getting the masculine aspect as like this King of Swords energy, taking action to cut out what needs to be cut out. The card that came in to clarify the law of gender is the Chariot, right? And if you look, there's the genders right here. This is feminine, dark energy, not dark in terms of bad, just dark in terms of like incubation, right? And then this is masculine, that outward sun expressive energy. So this card talks about destroying limitations and making power moves, right? Controlling your emotions, establishing peace, and moving forward powerfully. The next card that we had out is it's a synastry card. Pluto conjunct Venus. This card says profound emotional or romantic intensity, possessive attraction, jealousy, obsessiveness, control. There's an opportunity for deep transformation here. Transformation in relationships, love, and self-worth. This is the card I didn't quite understand. I don't understand why this card came out. The card that we have to clarify this is the Six of Cups. The Six of Cups talks about, it's the sun in Scorpio, so it talks about purification. Purifying those scorpionic energies. So if we think about this in terms of astrology, we have Pluto and Venus. Pluto conjunct Venus. Scorpio is going to be the water that runs through Pluto's underworld. So if you think about scorpionic energy, it's like intense emotion, right? So the sun in Scorpio is like purifying, uplifting, healing, reviving, regenerating, like some intense emotion. What does this say? Transmutation, clearing emotions, clear emotion, unpolluted energy. I'm not sure this Pluto conjunct Venus, if there's a relationship. This part has nothing to do with what I've been talking about. Okay, so let me clarify. If there's a relationship with someone who has been like, I don't know, diminishing your self-worth, we have alignment, perfect harmony. Alignment, perfect harmony. Let's see what else. There was this karmic relationship in the last reading. We have homecoming, alignment and homecoming. These are high vibrational cards. And then we have path, evolution of the soul. Okay, so maybe we're not supposed to talk about the karmic energy. If you're interested in hearing about that, you can check out the last reading because I spent a lot of time talking about this karmic feminine or this karmic mother. Maybe that's like the obsessive attraction or like the jealousy, possessiveness, or desire to control. There's an energy about purifying that energy. unpolluted, unpolluted. We did have the serpent, moving your energy into a healthy current. The Chariot talks about controlling your emotions, establishing peace. Then we have the Six of Cups talking about transmutation, clearing your emotions, unpolluted energy. Whatever this Pluto conjunct Venus energy is, I feel like it's an energy of the past because we have perfect alignment here, on target, and then we have homecoming, feeling at home. It says a person, environment, or experience will help you feel completely comfortable and at ease. You may be reconnecting with yourself after a period of feeling out of sorts. That brings me back to what I was talking about earlier in the reading, how the tension is separating or dissolving, and your clarity, your power is increasing or returning, right? And you are moving into like this truthful expression, positive self-expression. So if you felt overshadowed by an obsessive, possessive, controlling, jealous energy, as long as you maintain this King of Swords energy, right? Higher mind, strong boundaries, razor sharp clarity, making choices that cut out opposition. That's the next row here. Making these choices is going to like move you into the flow of this energy of regaining your power. Okay, so the next row we have here is opposition. Opposition. It says polar opposites, at odds, push and pull, polarity, different perspectives. Challenge. The challenge is to find balance and harmony within polarity. That's the Chariot energy, finding balance and moving forward positively. So whatever is opposing you, the card that came out to clarify that is the Two of Swords. The Two of Swords talks about balancing your internal energies and establishing peace, right? Cutting away illusions, making internal adjustments. So whatever is opposing you, whatever's opposing you, it could be a person, it could be an experience, right? The advice is to establish this sense of internal peace, and then going back to that King of Swords energy, cutting out what needs to be cut out, having these strong boundaries around the realm of your mind, right? Adapting or adopting this ability to pull yourself out of a mental spiral, or pull yourself out of the depths, the darkness of the lower mind. The last row that we have here is in fall. In fall, the in fall is like the opposite of exaltation, right? When we are exalted, we're operating from or through the higher octaves of mercurial energy. We know, we understand, we are clear, we have this clarity and this expertise. So in fall is going to be when our natural qualities and abilities, they struggle to express fully, right? Weakened, diminished expression is what this card says. Weakened, diminished expression. We're forced to learn how to grow through facing life's challenges. The card that came out to clarify that is the Devil. In fall. Earthbound karmic attachment. The descent into lower dimensions. This card talks about temptation, a test of strength and character. So I feel like this is the challenge, right, that we've been talking about, or the challenge that I mentioned towards the beginning of the reading. We're moving through this turbulence, but it's not permanent. It's just a test of your strength and character. And this is your strength and your character, right? Exalted mercurial energy, your higher self, the highest mind. This energy is being tested right now, maybe by material circumstances. I want to just briefly talk about, these cards didn't come out. I pulled them out to clarify this Taurus energy, because remember, we have Chiron in Taurus. When Chiron is in Taurus, Chiron, or let's see, our insecurities, right? Our insecurities are amplified around Taurus, right? Taurus's energy, or the Taurus area of our lives. So traditionally, Taurus talks about, I think I talked about it, right? Material comfort, the work that goes into producing material comfort. I like to talk about Taurian energy as like our values, our personal values, like the qualities, the innate qualities and the resources that we incarnated with. These qualities and resources that we incarnated with are what helps us create material value. But if we take it even a step further behind the scenes, right? Taurus esoterically is like a fourth ray sign. We have the fourth ray here. Fourth ray is beauty and harmony through conflict, right? So Taurus, what Taurus does is he finds balance and resolution within, or he creates balance and resolution within like complex systems. So if you think about, like, let's say there's a warehouse, right? And things are running a certain way. What Taurus would do is come in and simplify that process, beautify that process so things run smoother, right? And they produce like higher quality results. So when we think about this card in terms of what's going on here, finding balance and resolution within impossible situations. So if this situation feels impossible, Taurus asks us to find balance and resolution by balancing opposing forces to reveal the harmony and beauty. Talks about navigating contradictions to find the light, a deep understanding of diverse viewpoints. A deep understanding of diverse viewpoints. So it's like seeing both sides, right? Seeing a deep understanding of diverse viewpoints. That's this energy here, a deep understanding of diverse viewpoints, seeing both sides for what they are. This Chiron energy, maybe it's an illusion. Maybe it feels so real that you feel like you're swamped or suppressed by it. But it's like understanding that, understanding the insecurities around that, and then making a choice to move in an exalted direction. We have path here, the evolution of the soul. Evolution of the soul. We also have mental block. Mental block is internal conflict. And then we have salt bath, the process of purification. So it's like refining these energies of worry, fear, overthinking, overstimulation, maybe transmuting those energies with or through awareness, right? The more you know, it's like once you know, then you're able to pull yourself up. You're able to pull yourself out of a spiral, hopefully. Let's get some advice. Not this card. Okay. What's the advice for the collective? Guys, if you have found these messages, every time I get to this part, I just laugh a little bit. If you found these messages to be helpful or useful, please be sure to like the video, subscribe if you're not already. It feels like a commercial break. This is my commercial break. Okay, let me try again. Guys, if you found these, we've got bondage flipping over. Spirit said enough of that. Enough of that. Bondage and journey. And then we have nature. Nature is a number 8, but if you turn it on its side, then it's like that infinity symbol that I was talking about, right? The feedback loop, purifying the feedback loop, bondage, cords. This card talks about breaking toxic bonds and cords. Breaking toxic bonds and cords. Karmic bonds. We did see the devil here. Okay, so these two cards together are giving, okay, so we talked about the feedback loop, right? We can break a toxic or like a karmic pattern. Maybe a karmic pattern that continues to repeat, right? Maybe we feel like we keep getting the same reality reflected back to us, right? Maybe we feel like we need a different mirror, right? A different mirror to reflect back to us. I know I do. I feel like my mirror, what's being reflected back to me, isn't an accurate reflection of who I am, who I've become, the work that I've done, right? So I feel like if you're feeling like me, right, like your reality isn't an accurate reflection of your core value, right, or your core worth. Yeah, let's just leave it there. I was going to say something about, yeah, let's just leave it there. If you feel like your reality isn't an accurate reflection, it's because, or it may be because, this feedback loop, right? When you receive what you receive from your reality, what do you give back, right? Do you give back this spiral energy, like, this isn't working, I don't have enough, I need more, this isn't fair, right? This like victim-y mentality, right? If you give that back, then that's going to bring you back like more of that energy. It's like we're spiraling, we want to spiral upwards, right? And we do that by purifying, cleansing the feedback that we give out. So it's like when we receive this, instead of giving this back, we give maybe this, right? I know who I am. I know what I deserve. It's not this. It's not this. Maybe not that. Maybe we give back this. Temperance. She's at the bottom of the deck. She talks about alchemy, health, and balance. Inner strength. Peace, clarity, purity. Maybe we give back peace and contentment. Yeah, I feel like we give back peace and contentment instead of like this, maybe not this rebuttal, maybe like I know who I am. That's what my mind automatically goes to. Like, this isn't what I deserve. But I feel like I can have that understanding, right? But it's more about the energy behind that. The energy behind that is still this, right? Even if I'm asserting myself, I know what I deserve, this isn't what I deserve. The energy behind that assertion is still this. So I feel like we purify this feedback loop by giving, like when we're faced with these situations, right? My daughter's iPad broke, my laptop broke. Not really sure how we're going to continue with her online classes. But I'm pretty sure that things will work themselves out, right? pretty sure that things will work themselves out. So we give back peace, perfection, alignment, and this like clarity, or just like this inner sense or this inner state of contentment, right? We also have the Six of Pentacles, and then we have the Eight of Wands. Okay, so it's like, okay, let's talk about the Six of Pentacles just really quickly. This is the moon in Taurus. The moon in Taurus, beauty and harmony through conflict. If the moon is our emotional subconscious, right? It's where all of those automatic emotional responses are stored. And we talked about Taurus being the one who like sorts out the processes, right? This is about like moderation and delegation, making adjustments, putting things right. So sorting out the moon is going to result in, we have rewards and payouts, because this is a material, like tangible, it's the Pentacles card, right? So when we sort out the processes of our moon or our internal realm, it's that feedback loop, right? Material change, results of efforts to stabilize your moon. So we'll see some sort of results that came out in the beginning of the message, right? Results, abundance, rewards. These results, abundances, and rewards come from the effort that we put into stabilizing, balancing, making adjustments, putting things right in terms of our moon. And then this last card that we have here is the Eight of Wands. The Eight of Wands. This is Mercury in Sagittarius, another mercurial card. This card talks about like receiving that flash of insight that quickly like moves you onto the correct path. We did have the path here. The path, your journey. So this insight, remember I said that our higher selves is like shouting something at us. They want us to know. They want us to remember something. Whatever this is, maybe it's what we've been talking about, right? This insight is quickly like realigning you. We did see alignment and homecoming, quickly realigning you with this homecoming, right? We also had like mental blocks. So it's like dissolving a mental block, dissolving mental conflict, right? And then quickly readjusting, realigning, or like accelerating down your path. Down your path. We have loss and cleansing. Loss and cleansing. Loss is like the feeling of loss, right? Feeling like you've lost something. This is giving that Five of Pentacles energy, or just like feeling like you don't have enough to carry forward. And then cleansing. We're cleansing that, we're healing that, we're releasing that, and then we're moving into number 7, fulfillment of a divine contract, right? This is the process, guys. Like I said, it's like a spiral upward. We're spiraling upward, slowly but surely. Okay, so I'm going to leave this message here. If you found value in this message, please be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and leave a comment, even if the comment is just an emoji, because your engagement and interaction with these videos, it helps the channel grow, okay? Yeah, it just lets YouTube know that these videos are helpful, and YouTube like shows the videos to more people. Okay, I'm gonna get out of here, you guys. I'll see you all on the next one.